For the first time this year, we've seen these algal blooms show up more toxic than they've ever measured. In some cases, over 100 times more toxic than what the EPA has said anybody should touch before even getting into summertime. And that's a perfect description of the Pahokee Marina.
An algae crisis threatening our treasure coast.
A cycle of despair and disgust amidst promises made and broken.
Billions of gallons of water are rushing from Lake Okeechobee to our coastline.
How much pollution is too much? How much danger is too much? How much before this will stop?
Potentially toxic blue-green algae has recently started to reappear around Lake Okeechobee.
Congressman Brian Mast not holding back when it comes to the toxic algae on Lake Okeechobee.
I can't speak for every community, but I know they don't want this here in Pahokee. They don't want it in the Lake Worth Lagoon. They don't want it in the St. Lucie. No community anywhere in our state should have to take this, and I don't care if I have to anchor myself in my rowboat to our lock and dam. If they try to dump this into our community at any point for the rest of this year, I will do everything I physically can to prevent them from doing that.
If you've got areas where you have algae being concentrated and matted, which happens a lot like behind us, where you've got a stagnant area that's entrapped, that also happens in marinas, sometimes dead-end canals, and those also happen. This is not a particularly public place, but Pahokee Marina obviously is a public place where you have a number of folks going out to recreate on the water.
Well, the actual test came back. You realize that the EPA says it's 100 times too toxic for human contact. The tests show it's 860 parts per billion microcystin. What does all that lead to if you were to actually get into that? If you were to ingest that water, you could die. Almost certainly have liver failure, kidney failure. You're definitely going to start vomiting. You're going to have rashes on your skin. You're going to have sores and ulcers and things that any person with a lick of common sense can say, yeah, I know that that's toxic, and I'm going to stay as far away from it as possible.
One lesson is this did not happen overnight. And the state of Florida and the federal government are both culpable in allowing the lake to continue to be polluted and not taking the steps necessary.
And as we move through summertime and the temperatures get higher and the summer rains come, the likelihood that those toxic algal blooms increase, become even more toxic than what they are already, that becomes the threat.
The cleanup intensified today at the site of the large algae bloom in Lake Okeechobee in western Palm Beach County.
All day on Thursday, workers continued with septic trucks pumping out the foul-smelling blue-green algae. The entire job overseen by the South Florida Water Management District.
There's an important story being told on Lake Okeechobee right now. And one of the most important milestones was the EPA saying any microcystin over 8 parts per billion, it's too toxic, and cities and municipalities and even the Corps of Engineers, they have begun to take this seriously.
When Governor DeSantis came into office, he charged us and DEP with really getting on top of water quality. And a part of that was budget requests, getting data, getting information, getting money to help deal with harmful algae blooms. So when the Pahokee Marina situation showed up, it's in a populated area, it's dealing with the lake pollution situation. We talked to DEP and decided it's time to clean this algae up.
I do think it's admirable that the district moved in to help people who were being poisoned by the toxic algae, and the district made the decision to move in and start cleaning it up.
If it happens to get to those communities, and under the discharge scenario, they're fresh estuaries, Cape Coral in 2018, obviously in Stewart in 2016, then we should do what we can, and we will be there, DEP and the Water Management District, to try to make sure that algae conditions do not exist associated with those populated communities because of those lake discharges.
Finally, government agencies are trying to clean it up, sometimes not even waiting for tests to come back. Finally, government agencies, they're starting to warn their communities about don't touch that water because this is what could happen if you do. Don't let your kids come near that water because it's even more toxic for them. And that's something that didn't happen just a few years ago.